What's going on, guys? Zio here with week 2 of the playoffs for the NES. If you missed any of the action from the season, please check out the playlist that I have on my channel and stuff. But this week we are going up against the Aston Charizards, coached by the Mad Danny. He completely annihilated me in week 16 or 15 or whatever of the season. I didn't ever get a video up for it because my computer was being weird, and by the grace of the universe, my computer was being weird again this week, so I'm actually a little bit late with the recording. I'm also a little bit sick, so I'm just going to try to kind of power through this as fast as I can. But as you can see from this preview, Danny has a really scary team. He has a lot of things that are very good as choice mons, including Hydreigon, Rotom Heat, Metagross, Flygon. Azu holds a choice band pretty well. He also has a lot of very good defensive mons. A Violet Rhydon gave me a lot of problems the last time he brought it against me. Rotom Heat was surprisingly fatter and harder to take down than I thought it was. And he's even used like Sap Sipper Azu and a defensive Gyarados very well this season, so I basically just have to be on high alert for every single one of his Pokemon. It is the semifinals, so I guess I can't be too surprised, but I didn't ever really feel like I had a very good matchup against this team. It has the only thing that really I have over it, I guess that was a really weird way of wording that. The only thing I really have over this team is slightly better speed tiers and stuff. But I took advantage of that the first time we played him a couple of weeks ago, so I'm actually expecting him to either choice scarf a lot of stuff or just run like very, very, very max speed on stuff that I wouldn't expect. So in a weird way, I'm actually going to be going the opposite direction here and kind of making a more slow team this week. That's probably the fastest I've ever previewed someone else's team, and I wish I could have done it more for Danny, but I'm really not feeling well, so I just wanted to get these stats up really quick. And this one. See, I wanted to get the type chart up. If you guys don't know what this is, I like to run through my opponent's team to try to figure out the coverage that I should be bringing every week. Figuring out what they're actually weak to and stuff, and trying to find common weaknesses to be able to spread my coverage around as I need. As you can see, even though Danny has a lot of, or I'm not going to say a lot, but he has more than the average amount of 4 times weaknesses, I guess. He also covers them very well, so it's kind of hard to actually take advantage of a lot of these. I really wish I had a fast fairy, but the only fairy I have is Grandville, so I kind of have to do what I have to do. Going off of this ranking, I actually very heavily considered a super offensive Vaporeon this week, but spoilers, I didn't really end up bringing it. Or at least the offensive variant, I guess. And the last time I played him, I brought a Scizor that kind of did a little bit of work, I guess, but I was constantly afraid of fire coverage on everything. So I decided to change it up kind of a lot this week and go for a pretty weird team. Let me switch over to that really quick. Okay, so starting off with the kind of weird team that I brought this week, I wanted to bring a more special Absol because I kind of figured that he would expect a physical Absol, just because physical Absol is obviously much more common. I really wanted to try to get into Danny's head this week and bring stuff that he would not expect, mainly because I know that Danny's a very good player, but also I believe he has a very good team matchup against me. So I have to try to be a little bit more creative while still bringing stuff that'll actually work. So definitely have to be careful. So between Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, I actually hit everything that I need to hit for at least neutral. Knockoff and Sucker Punch are basically just there for utility and priority. So I'm basically just bringing those to be able to hit stuff, I guess. This commentary is not very great, I'm sorry, but the special attack investment allows me to I believe it was specifically to out Oko a defensive Gyarados, or especially defensive Gyarados. I'll have to check the calcs again before the battle, but I know what that's for, I think. And the speed's there, so once I Mega, I outspeed everything that's not choiced. I definitely expect him to bring a lot of choice and or priority against me this week, so I'll have to kind of play around that, I guess. And the HP is basically just there so I can try to live a little bit longer. Absol's obviously not defensive in any way, shape, or form. But if you give it max HP, it at least is able to take a hit, which is all I really need it to do. It's gonna be tough to do it's gonna be tough for it to like put in a ton of work this week, but I mainly just want to get a surprise kill on that Gyarados because it fucked me over a lot last time. Next we have Colberry Victini, which I don't think I've brought since like week 1, ironically enough, against a regular Sableye, I think. But between Sableye and Hydreigon, I definitely expect Victini to get hit with a dark type attack at some point in this battle, and I can fire back with a Dazzling Gleam. If I'm in a situation against Gyarados and can go for a Bolt Strike against his sub or something, I definitely expect him to switch into either Rotom Heat or Rhydon to be able to take it. So I also packed HP Water to be able to hit both of them. I'm pretty excited to be able to see if HP Water is able to actually hit anything this week, because I think it's the first time I've brought HP Water ever. But yeah, V-Create's basically just there to do mad damage to Ferrothorn and Metagross. He has a lot of fire resists, so I don't actually think that it's going to work quite as well as I would like. It's definitely not going to work as well as it did last week, but that's okay. It's mainly just there to do the work that it needs to. Next is a fairly standard Vaporeon for what I've been bringing the past couple weeks, I guess, but between Scald and Ice Beam, I hit everything on his team that I need to hit for at least neutral, and honestly nothing really wants to switch into a Stab Scald. The only thing that really resists it is Azumarill, but Azumarill doesn't really want to get burned. I guess Golduck can switch into it, but I'm going to be perfectly honest and say I don't expect him to bring Golduck. He actually had Tauros instead of Golduck the first time we played, and I was more afraid of Tauros just because Tauros had a much better speed tier. Fun tangent that I'm going to go on now, I guess, because I just remembered. I helped Danny actually team build last week against the Detroit Darkrais a little bit because he asked for my help. And he mentioned something about a Swift Swim Golduck. I hope he's not bringing it this week because I might have just spoiled it a little bit, but he said something about a Swift Swim Golduck with Rain Dance on his team. So if he does bring it, I'm expecting that to bring the set, or expecting that to be the set, I guess, like a Swift Swim coverage thing. But I don't really think he's going to, mainly because he just told me about it last week, but also because it doesn't really match up against my team. But yeah, Wish Scald, Ice Beam, and Heal Bell. Pretty standard Vaporeon, I guess. Next up we have Super Offensive Grandville. Last time I made max speed Grandville and I was able to outspeed some stuff. I thought about doing it again, but honestly max speed Grandville didn't really do the work that I needed it to do. So instead I kind of just decided to bring this weird offensive one. The HP investment is specifically so I can take 10 hits from... it's like a weird balance between being able to take less damage from Life Orb and also being able to take less damage from attacks, I guess, if that makes sense. Normally when you run Life Orb stuff, it doesn't really matter if you run HP investment at all because you're just taking 10% of your health anyway. But I wanted to be able to live a hit, ideally a Bullet Punch or something from full health, I think is what I calced, but I wanted to be able to just fire back. In between this coverage, I hit everything on his team but Rhydon, and he's probably not going to want to switch in Rhydon because I very easily could have Earthquake on this thing. Obviously I don't, and it's not really that good against his team anyway, but I could have it, so he has to be careful, I guess. I'm very distracted this video, sorry. Next up, we have probably the best set, or at least the best offensive set that I'm bringing this week. I've never really brought Leftovers Thundurus, and I've never really brought Leftovers Sub Nasty Plot Thundurus, I think. So I'm hoping that he doesn't see it coming, but this should be a pretty good early game wall breaker for me. Between Absol, Victini, Vaporeon, and Grandville, I can do a lot of late game cleanup, but I need to have a little bit of damage done first to be able to actually pull it off. So if I can get in against the Gyarados and sub up against the Waterfall or whatever, I don't expect Gyarados to be offensive, by the way, just because he vastly prefers the defensive Gyarados. If you want to watch some of his replays, you'll definitely see that he prefers that over a Dragon Dance set, which is why I'm talking about it like it's going to be defensive. Like, I don't think he's ever actually brought offensive Gyarados, and it could be that he brings it this week. But if I bring it in and I just sub on his Dragon Dance, it doesn't really matter anyway. But between Thunderbolt and HP Ice, I 2-hit KO everything on his team at +2. So I just need to basically come in and kill something, ideally 2 somethings, but I just need to do damage, I guess. And finally, we have the absolute gimmick of the week, and I know this for sure. I know full well that this probably isn't even going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. Just to show this off, because I'm pretty sure that this is not a very common item at all. The Lagging Tail is an item that makes you move last, and normally this would be a horribly useless item because it would just guarantee that you're always moving second no matter what. But with Trick, I guess I'll put this too. Trick lets me switch the item with the opponent as long as it's not a Mega. So after I get rid of Mega Sableye, I'll be able to trick a Lagging Tail onto something on his team, and then instantly be able to outspeed it. The only thing it can do to be able to hit me is if, like, I trick it to a Metagross or something, it can go for Bullet Punch and still outspeed me. But if it goes for any regular attack, I'll be able to outspeed it even with this horribly, horribly slow Dusclops. Nightshade's basically just there for consistent damage. It's still like a 3-hit KO against Mega Sableye, so I don't really want to be going for it all the time. But it's decent damage against everything on his team, or everything else on his team. And Memento is a move basically just to try to get a little bit more momentum, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. But by killing myself and lowering my opponent's attack and special attack by 2, I get myself a free switch into something and know that I can kind of take a hit from it, whatever my opponent had in, pretty much. So I can probably, at some point, ideally, go for a Memento right before I'm about to die, and then switch into Mega Skrillex or something like that and get a free Mega Evolution off, or go into Karen and get a free Scald off on something like that. Should be interesting, I think. Sorry this video was so horribly unfocused, but I'm not feeling great, so I'm gonna lay back down for a bit and then try to record a little bit more. So I'll see you next time. Bye.